Association of Mathematics Education of South Africa says it's important that maths teachers practice the right set skills when teaching mathematics to make it easier for learners in the classrooms. International maths professionals were invited to this year's 24th National Congress to share their knowledge with subject teachers. To shed some more light on why mathematics remains a challenge for so many learners is Sharanjeet Shan. She's the Executive Director of the Maths Centre, a Johannesburg-based non-profit organisation striving to improve mathematics, science and technology education in the country. She's also the recipient of the Schwab Foundations 2015 Social Entrepreneur of the Year Award for her work at the Maths Centre, which has helped hundreds of thousands of learners and teachers across South Africa. Good afternoon, Sharanjeet.
Good afternoon.
Always a pleasure having you on the SABC News Desk.
Thank you, Krishni, and thank you to the viewers.
I want to just ask you straight out, will implementing new teaching methodologies help to improve the academic performance of learners when it comes to gateway subjects like mathematics and science?
I want to begin by stating that we truly, deeply, sincerely need to take a look at what are we doing in our country in terms of science, technology, mathematics education, which then leads into engineering careers. Yes, new teaching methodologies will help a little, but when you consider that more than half the children fail mathematics each year, passing at levels 2 and 3, it's not passing. Passing must happen at levels 4, 5, 6 and 7 if our young people are to access further education and higher education. What we really, truly, intensely need to look at is our inset system, in-service education and teacher training system.
All right.
Every single teacher must be able to teach 100% of the curriculum that they are responsible for. Be it grade 1, be it grade 12, does not make a difference. If I'm a teacher standing in front of a child, I need to know my content at least more than that child, and at least a year above the grade. I need to have activities. I need to be engaging in a way in which children get to understand problem solving. We are at a crisis point. We are at a tipping point. Why? Because we now have the fourth industrial revolution. What are we going to do if our children do not begin to understand critical thinking, creative thinking, if they do not cognitively develop to start problem solving? And this fourth industrial revolution, already it's in front of us. There is a platform economics. It is coming at us like a juggernaut lorry. If our children don't learn to analyze data, if they don't learn to take charge and understand all the careers within which mathematics is operational, we really are enslaving them into a new kind of economic enslavement. I can't sleep for the thinking of it, that more than half our children every single year fail. Last year, if you take last year, the class of 2017, 1.2 million children entered grade 1, 12 years prior, 33,000 passed mathematics at level 5, 6 and 7.
Those figures are indeed staggering, Sharanjeet, but how do we start to turn things around? We need more confident mathematics teachers.
And competent.
And where do we start?
And competent. You absolutely hit the nail on the head. We need to make sure that all our teachers are tested. We need to understand what their starting point is. Then we need to put together training courses for every single teacher. Please don't forget the large majority of teachers are not really qualified to teach mathematics and science, physical science, particularly at a higher level. That is why the inset system, all nations who have succeeded in making sure that every child gets access to further and higher education, the nation has an inset system.
Yeah, tell us more about this inset system.
Inset is in-service education and training. The good thing is we've got CPTD in our country, which is continuous professional teacher development, which juxtaposes to inset. But it needs to be rolled out, it needs to be implemented, it needs to be monitored for every single teacher. We cannot afford to leave it to the teachers and leave it to schools and leave it to districts whether or not they put the inset regarding CPTD into practice. We need to enforce it, quite frankly. It needs to become a part of the teacher performance system, the monitoring system, and there need to be sanctions in place if it isn't done. There is no other way of reaching all our children.
Sharanjeet, over the years, you've worked extensively with mathematics teachers on the ground and learners themselves. And we often see in the classroom situation when aversion or fear of the subject is created.
Yes.
How do we avoid this?
The fear comes from the nature of the subject. It is a very hardcore discipline. I've said it to you before. I would be the last person on the planet to say it's an easy discipline. It requires discipline in oneself to learn. It requires a teacher who can explain things and move you from not knowing to knowing. It requires a teacher who can assess you. At the Maths Center, we do something called critical incidents of change, which is tracking each child to understand where the gaps are. Where do they get stuck and how to get out of those gaps, how to correct those errors, and then to enhance the subject. And I've often spoken about how beautiful this subject is. There's fractals, there's Fibonacci sequence, there's everything in Mother Nature and in us as human beings going on, and it's mathematics based. But you cannot do that if in the first instance you as a teacher are not competent, not confident. How can you love something you have fear of? You can only love it if you can see it, that it is actually in the fabric of everything around me.
Very quickly, when can a child actually start learning mathematics? There's a great deal of focus now on childhood, early childhood education.
Yes, absolutely.
But you feel that they can start learning much earlier, at about 6 weeks old?
They can start learning at 6 weeks. Not only start learning, they already do. It is in the fabric of our thinking, because we are looking at our mother or grandmother or our carer's face and we are following them. That's your direction. We are picking up heavy things and light things and hot things and warm things and going backwards, going forward, seeing far, seeing nearer. We are already doing the actual conceptual makeup of mathematics. It's in our behavior. I have now drunk a full cup. I only want to drink half a cup. These are all mathematical concepts.
All right. I've read at the Maths Center you run a program called Parents Count and Parents Matter.
Yes.
What can we do on the home front in our affluent and not so affluent areas?
Yes. You see, parents are often scared of mathematics because they think you are asking them to come and help the children with their homework. We don't do that. We are asking parents who are, in my humble view, equal partners in terms of knowing the child, in terms of the vulnerability of the child, if a child has any conditions or if a child is traumatized for any reasons. Get that parent to understand that your only duty is, when the child comes home, the child is the focus. No television, no visitors, no chores, no going out to spaza shops. Just sit with that child, be encouraging, be loving, be caring, hold that child so that the child can do their homework. And if you can afford, then get some help like Cami Maths or Master Maths or any of these wonderful things that are out there. But the key thing with a parent is to be supportive. I'm not asking you to do quadratic equations for the child, because you'd probably do it differently than the teacher does anyway, and then there'd be a different kind of war. So don't do that, just support the child.
Sharanjeet Shan joining us on the SABC News Desk. Always so passionate about your subject, and always lovely to have you here with us.
Thank you very much.
She's the Executive Director of the Maths Center that's based in Braamfontein, Johannesburg.